Have any celebs ever slid in your DM before?
All the time.
Well, are they like athletes,
Oh
rappers?
yeah, both. I had NFL players, basketball players, even older basketball players, NBA players, rappers.
Okay.
A lot of people actually.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
I could believe everything if it was some 20-year-old supermodel telling all this, but this woman looks like a penguin from the Batman movie. She thinks she is still relevant, but she is way past her prime 1,000 years ago.
First of all, I'm not a misogynist, because a misogynist is someone that puts down women. I exalt women to their rightful role. Women are supposed to be women, not men. And every time somebody says that a woman is equal to a man and does what a man could do, and you're actually abusing and denigrating women. Women have a unique purpose, and they're special. They're fearfully and wonderfully made by God. I support women. So I'm not a misogynist. I don't put down, you're putting down women by saying women can be men. You're putting down women by saying transgenders can be women. No, they can never be women. Women are special, and no man can just convert and say I'm a woman today. You're putting down women by saying that.
Preach, brother, preach.
So you're actually anti-women. I'm pro-woman. I'm pro-mothers, I'm pro-wives, and I'm pro-women.
Women are trying to become men, but they don't know that men can beat the shit out each other by just bumping into each other. But we can also become friends with the same incident. Nobody can become a woman. Even women shouldn't try to become men. With a simple smile, women can become heaven in men's lives.
I'm gonna say this one time. He is not coming back. The person who you knew at the beginning of your relationship is not coming back. You know who he is. He showed you who he is. And the person who comes back to you is gonna be some version of him that he thinks you're gonna love. You know who he is. You can watch him fall in love with somebody else, but you know who he is. He's not coming back. That person isn't real.
The next video is about woman telling her story about how she was betrayed by her friend of 15 years. Let's watch.
I was friends with this woman for 15 plus years. I trusted her until one night she asked me to come to a comedy show that she was working. And I did, to come and support her. She's not a comedian, by the way. She's a talent producer who works behind the scenes. So she's working for OnlyFans as a producer, and they were doing a special comedy show. After I went to the show to support her, I said goodbye to her and went to leave. And Jeff Dye, who is a very popular comedian now, he and I actually exchanged social medias. So the next morning, I wake up super early. I was excited about Jeff Dye, so I DM him, and we're just like very innocently like flirting back and forth. Nothing crazy, but flirting. My friend, who I lived with at the time, wakes up much later. So by the time she wakes up, she texts me, "Hey, thanks so much for coming last night. Hope you had a good time." I respond, "Oh my God, I had so much fun. By the way, Jeff is so cute." And obviously she doesn't know that he and I are talking yet. Do you know what she responds? She says, "Oh my God, you'll never believe this, but like Jeff Dye came up to me after the show." By the way, I have paper trails for everything. He came up to me after the show, he says, and like it was so cute. He like came up to me and asked me out on a date. So we're going to get sushi this weekend. So of course, as her friend, I believe her. And I'm like, oh, this asshole, he's been like hitting on me and my roommate. So I go back to him immediately and I'm like, "Hey Jeff, like it was so nice getting to know you, but like my roommate just told me you're going out on a date with her this weekend, so I'm gonna gracefully back away." And he's like, "Who's your roommate?" And then I say her name and I show him her Instagram and he's like, she and I said like 3 words to each other the entire night professionally before I went on stage. "I am definitely not taking your roommate out on a date. She's lying to you." And I was like, this is weird. Why would she lie to me? So then I'm like, you know what? Let me just see how long on like she goes with this lie. Like, let's see what happens. So awkward. So now cut to the weekend, right? The weekend where she's supposed to go on a sushi date with him. She's like getting ready for her date, whatever. And like one of her girlfriends shows up at the house. And I'm like, "Oh, I thought you were going on a date with Jeff." And she's like, "Oh yeah, we're making it a family affair." And I was like, "Oh, okay, weird." So then I DM Jeff and I'm like, "Oh, I heard you're going on that sushi date tonight." And he's like, "Oh my God, like she's still going with it." And I'm like, "Yep." So she's blatantly lying to me. right? She made up this whole thing, blatantly lying to me again, right? So now at this point, I'm like, wow, I'm living with this person that I cannot trust. I'm heartbroken because now I know this person is manipulating me over a guy. But I'm like, you know what? For my own selfish reasons, I'm not gonna say anything because I'm not working full time. I'm going to school. I just found out my father is dying at this time. And I was just not in the position to leave the house. And this is me being very vulnerable, actually telling you that. That is why I did not confront her about it. So now she leaves for 3 months to Utah because she was working on a show. So I was back at her house watching her dog. Time goes by, I kind of forget about it. I sweep it under the rug. She comes back from Utah and like we're having dinner that night for the first time since she's been back. And like randomly out of nowhere, she goes, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, like Jeff came to visit me in Utah twice. And I'm like, this girl is still fucking going with this lie. Like I haven't even mentioned it or asked about it. Like she's trying to make me jealous, or I don't know what she's trying to do at this point. But now I'm like, she's a pathological fucking liar. And of course I DM Jeff because we've been laughing about it this entire time. And I'm like, hey, no, it's been a while, but you know, my roommate just told me you went to go visit her in Utah 2 times. And he's like, you need to get out of that house. There's something seriously wrong with that woman. Like, get out. And like, this has been like a running joke for so long at this point because every time she'd say she'd go on a date with him, like Jeff would send me a picture from like where he was and he'd be like, yeah, clearly not on a date with your roommate friend. Fast forward another month, I'm washing dishes in the kitchen and she comes up to me and she's like, hey, I'm thinking about selling the house, so you might want to like think about another place to live, like just letting you know. And I'm like, that's fucking weird and random of her to say. And anyone who's selling their home, like naturally it takes a long time for it to happen anyway. So I'm like, all right, I have some time, but still weird. Another thing she didn't know is one of my friends is best friends with Jeff. So she invited me, ironically, that week that she tells me that she wants me to move out, to a comedy show of Jeff's. I hadn't seen him since the last show I was at with my friend. So I go, he and I talk after the show. He's like, by the way, 2 days ago, I finally DM'd your roommate and confronted her and was like, hey, can you stop telling people that we're dating? He shows me the conversation. She denies it all. And she's like, that's impossible. I've been in Utah the last 3 months. And he's like, yeah, supposedly I went to visit you in Utah. She stops responding. By the way, he did not mention my name at all in the conversation. But now she's like, oh, Carrie's the only one I've been lying to about this. So she must know. She must have known this whole time that I was lying to her. And now it clicks because I'm like, he sent her that message 2 days ago. The same day she told me she wanted me to move out all of a sudden because she was moving. This woman now knew that I knew she was lying this whole time and probably felt uncomfortable in her own home. And sure enough, the next day or so, she got more aggressive with me, telling me she needed me to be out by the end of the month. I was like, my dad is dying. I'm not working. How could you do this to me? She's like, not my problem. Not my problem. By the way, still did not mention to her that I knew, even though she knew deep down. Didn't say it to her yet. And I was like, you know what? This is a blessing in disguise. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I hire movers. She hides in her room the entire time they're there. My plan was to like drop a bomb on her before I left, being like, yo, I knew about Jeff the entire time. You're a horrible fucking friend. Like, que sera, sera. But she didn't come out of her room. So once the movers were packing up, I wrote her a letter. Here's the letter. Feel free to screenshot this and really read it. It's kind of long. But I still at the end said, best of luck to you, because that's the kind of person I am. I left this note for her, and I hope she read it. And if she didn't, I hope she sees this now and she can read it. And then I sent this picture to her phone before I blocked her. This is me and Jeff, the night that I read the conversation and found out, before she kicked me out of her house. Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Jeff Dye for being super cool throughout all that and like kind of having my back. Go see his shows because he's fucking awesome. But hey, listen, moral of the story is, no matter how long you know somebody, you never truly know them. For all I know, for those 15 years, she had a weird jealousy thing with me, or, I mean, the fact that she made up an entire relationship with this man just so I wouldn't go out on a date with him is terrifying.
So long story short, her friend created a whole story in her mind, incorporating it into her life and telling it to her friend just so she can stop her from going on a date. Listen, no matter how long you've known someone, you may never truly know them. For all I know, during those 15 years, she might have harbored jealousy towards her friend. I mean, the fact that she fabricated an entire relationship with a man just to prevent her from going on a date with him is alarming. So it's important to be cautious about who you consider your friends. This situation just highlights the reality that many modern women may have underlying issues that go undiagnosed and untreated, possibly because feminism sometimes acts as a shield for these issues. I'm unsure of the details, but it's something to be mindful of.